All right.
Hello, Internet.
Hi, Internet.
We're back with more Kerbal Space Program.
Today we have Kevin with us.
Hello, Internet.
There he is.
All right. In the last time we came back, we landed a vehicle from Kerbin's moon, and that gave us a whole lot more science, which I can use to build a better vehicle. So I am building a follow-up to the destroyed Dream Charger 5. Which
we go through 5 of those things?
Yeah. Well, the first 4 were test vehicles that you never saw.
Okay.
So one of the other things that I unlocked, you notice that little thing I just strapped to the back there?
Yeah.
It went in the luggage rack. That is a container that actually holds spare parts, which I just unlocked. So I also figured out
in-flight repairs possible.
Yeah. So I can go and do EVAs and have my dudes bolt things on. I also figured out the aerodynamic model since the last time a lot better. Oh yeah, and I added a new enhancement called Hot Rockets. That if you look at those sweet little graphics, it changes all the rocket exhaust designs.
Mm-hmm.
And also changes all the sounds.
Oh, all right. Well, I should probably turn up the thing then. I usually have it turned down so we can talk.
That's fine.
So who's our pilots today? Who we got
pilots
there?
are our classic Jeb Kerman, and Barlin Kerman is returning to the Bill Kerman space station.
Cool.
I'd also like to take this chance while we're taking off to thank Tuxedo Demon for the kick-ass title card art.
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
You can check her stuff out at tuxedodemon.tumblr.com. I'll put a link here and in the doobly-doo, and it should be in previous ones in doobly-doos. If you can't tell, we record these way ahead of time. And I think I also figured out that this thing this vehicle only takes off when it hits the edge of the runway and finally becomes airborne by the nature of how there's no ground underneath it. Because I think the landing gear is too far back.
It was always flying.
But I need the landing gear to be that far back in order for it to be able to touch down and not destroy its engines. And just checking out them sweet volumetric clouds before passing above them.
Okay, so that's measured 450. Is that a dot or a comma?
It's dot. It's in meters per second.
Okay.
The part at the top there is the altimeter. We're currently at about 14 kilometers.
Okay. I was looking at it generating 450 kilonewtons of force.
Oh, you're talking about... Okay, yeah, you're talking about the flight engineer.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I switch between that because that's mostly for my own benefit while flying this.
Okay.
Oh no. I'm with 2 smart people.
So also I figured out the point at which my
space.
engines cut out, and it's actually, if I look at the electric charge on the jet engines, it's when they are generating about between like 0.03 and 0.05 whatever the electric charge is measured in. There's no actual measurement for it.
You look like you're lagging there a bit.
Yeah, no, like I said, I am pretty much constantly running this game in fast forward. Because as I get more parts, the vehicles become more complicated, and that's harder for my computer to handle. So I pretty much always run this game really fast now, in post commentary, so that it doesn't look like a zoetrope from the early 20th century.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, no, I love the that's again from the Better Atmospheres mod, that sweet moon that actually adds all the proper things. So like I said before, you can actually see the phases of the moon and stuff.
Oh wow.
And I keep waiting for the moon to pass overhead, and I don't grasp quite how restrictive the cockpit is to my vision.
Is the answer very?
Yeah, I realize that the moon is actually still below the horizon of the...
Ah!
So yeah, I switched to orbital. I get into the orbital cam view because I finally have actually made an orbit into, or I'm going to be passing into space here soon. Currently at about 55 kilometers, and we're just waiting for the vehicle to rise above 70 kilometers so that we can re-engage the engines more efficiently.
What's that post-it note say?
I think it says don't turn counterclockwise because that will make all the screws come undone. I have a hard time remembering what they say because I have to texture compress this because otherwise the really beautiful cockpits from B9 Aerospace will use up all the RAM for the game.
Well, here's the thing, like, how badass of a computer do you have to run this game?
I mean, standard. You don't have to have too much. Like, I mean, the game is basically a physics simulator. So, like, you need to have pretty decent processors. The game isn't multi-threaded either, so you need to have like one singular, really decent core. And I mean, like I said before, my computer's like 7 years old. It was like the same power as a server when I first got it. So, but it's using 4 cores, each are like 2.24 gigahertz, which isn't bad. It's not great either. I think my laptop now exceeds the actual speed of my processor of my desktop. My desktop can just, hold a graphics card and more RAM. So anyway, I've managed to share the same orbit as the space station. In fact, I'm a little bit below, so that the space station will slowly catch up to us.
Okay.
So I let that time accelerate, so we can make a rendezvous. And here we go. And I passed through all of that because it apparently took about 6 hours in game.
Matt, how much of your life has been dedicated to Kerbal Space Program?
I don't know. Steam says I've played 80 hours of it, but I played more of that before it was on Steam.
How much of your life have you dedicated to space in general?
Uncountable.
Yeah, well, I mean, it all started when I think I actually said that, like, I would not have cared so much about the actual space program were it not for Kerbal Space Program. Like, I would not have cared about actual real space had it not been for this game.
Well, then wait, what got you interested in Kerbal Space Program if you were just like
Giant Bomb's Click Look.
I
saw them playing, and it's like, oh man, a game where you can make rockets and stuff. That sounds cool. And Vinny Caravella really sucked at it, but it looked really fun to it looked really fun that even if you sucked, you could make a stupid thing, and it would either fail hilariously or succeed miraculously. So we're approaching the Bill Kerman space station here now. And I realized I made a gross miscalculation. So one of the things is that I disconnected the robotic probe that was on this to dock another vehicle. And I forgot now that if I want to do anything to make the space station work... Oh yeah, so there's another vehicle I'm supposed to maneuver that I can't right now because I'm busy docking this. But I found out if I want to do anything with the station to make it work, I have to put a dude in the cockpit of the vehicle that I put where the space probe was.
Oh.
So anyway, I line it up so that we can dock the space plane there, and I begin my final approach, and I skip about 10 minutes of making that final approach. You notice that also this time I put the docking port on the front because I found out that I have a docking port that is actually aerodynamically shielded, so that it works out okay and is way easier to dock. Although it does have its center of mass is a little farther off, so I have to kind of stabilize it a lot more. So you remember before I mentioned the cargo container in the back, which for this experimental EVA I loaded with a bunch of spotlights because I realized it's really hard to dock with this thing when it's on the night side of the planet. So I docked. So I'm going to bolt on these lights so that it's easier to see the docking ports when I'm coming in at night.
Make them in the shape of something funny.
I only have 4 of them, or I have 5 of them because that's the maximum. That's the maximum this will hold of those.
Can make a really surprised
It can take a lot of
face.
flights to build the space station up.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you talk about something like ISS, like the later half of the space shuttle's life was pretty much just missions to ISS.
Yeah.
Like that.
Especially the big pieces, wasn't it?
We started building ISS in like 1999 and finished it in 2011. Yeah, so there we are with all the lights on. And so now I cut back to the lander that I'm sending back from Minmus. We have a correction maneuver we need to, we have a correction burn we need to fire to try and catch this in Kerbin's atmosphere so that we can aero brake a little bit, save a little bit of fuel. So I'm going to take it down to about 40 or so kilometers. And while we're waiting for that, you recall that there was that that other asteroid that became Kerbin's third moon, basically?
Oh, yeah, the one you captured.
Well, yeah, I didn't capture it. Kerbin just captured it somehow.
The one that Kerbin captured.
So
Whatever.
I decided we need to study that because it's the closest one to our planet, and the one that I'm certain is not going to impact it anytime soon. It's the easiest one to reach, so I'm going to build a space station that to send dudes in and out from. We're going to try and launch a vehicle there, and we'll just do continuing science on that to figure out where it came from.
Oh yeah, science!
What it's constructed of,
Nice.
all that.
So science is like your currency that you
in
unlock new things with?
Yeah, in the campaign mode, you go and you do science in space to get, and that's how you unlock new parts.
Okay.
There's actually, in the next version, they're actually going to implement, like, budgets and stuff, too. So in order to, researching the parts, you'll have to buy them and you'll have to pay for all your rockets. And I'm using these container types because I'm going to try and build some stuff onto the asteroid when I land there.
How will you get money, though?
You do contracts.
Impressing people.
Yeah, you do contracts and you do big things to convince the government to give you money. They said they completed the contract system, but not the budgeting system, and so there's a delay on the game right now coming out.
Paint your rocket with the Virgin Mobile logo.
Yeah, sponsors.
Yeah, I wonder. All I know is that there is
Be a part of the Pepsi universe.
All I know is that there is a contracting system in place, and it was unsatisfactory just to have contracts without any reason to be getting all that money. So they said they're going to hold off on the whole version until they implement budgets correctly. So we send this to the launch pad, and hey, take a look at the astronauts we got there.
Who we got?
And also,
Hey!
Also, I have to time accelerate here, so to line up our launch pad with the actual orbit of this asteroid, which will save a lot of fuel in the long run, since we'll have to make less correctional maneuvers as we launch.
I see a camping Kerman and a Carney Kerman, and I like the sweet facial hair on the Carney Kerman.
Yeah, no, I won't lie. I went into the texture replacer and tried to make Carney Kerman a girl, and despite my best efforts, the game just kept making it a guy with really sweet facial hair.
Well, clearly, looks like one of my uncles.
All right, so.
Oh.
We're gonna be we're firing in a much different direction this time because this thing is it's on like a 23-degree incline or something.
Looking a little nervous.
Well, yeah, because I have to keep turning. You'll notice I go to the map a lot in this because this is the only way I can find my inclination change with regards to the asteroid. So we're getting close now. We're only like 3 degrees off. When we come back, as our solid rocket boosters burn out, we decouple those and continue on with just our core stage, the Rockamax mainsail engine, which also has been affected by texture replacer or by hot rockets, with a sweet, sweet orange flame coming out the back.
Oh, Carney Kerman's partying.
Yeah.
Space parties are the best parties.
Woohoo! Look at him, he's pumped.
He's mad hype. Check out this asteroid.
How many total astronauts do you have in play?
In play right now, let's see. There are 3 on Kerbin's moon of Minmus. There are 3 on, and there are 3 on the Bill Kerman space station. 2 of them are the pilots of Dream Charger 6, and then this would be the 7th and 8th astronaut currently working.
Okay. Have you lost any astronauts?
Yes, I have
Aw.
lost. I've lost Bill Kerman, which is why I named a space station after him.
Yeah.
That was during the landing of Dream Charger 4, I think, which came down too hard. It had an ejection system, but the ejection seats did not work for poor Bill, and he was lost in the crash. Jebediah survived because Jebediah is a badass. All right, so now we finish up
Goose.
our orbital injection stage with our Rockamax Poodle engine. I keep trying to clear up the ascending node, descending node difference, and I actually can't get closer than 1 degree because I passed the point. I passed whatever the point is where the axes would link up.
The point of no return.
Also, in one of my other test flights, I lost Donald Kerman, which was not on recording because it was a test flight.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, well, like I said, it wasn't on recording because it was just a test flight. So I also have, don't worry, I have something planned for Donald Kerman.
Okay.
So I got the scan map system on this, which
Yeah,
I'm
what is
going to
that?
use. It actually creates a map of the planet as you go around. And this was sort of my experimental run with it, because I wasn't sure how far out it worked. And if you notice, I have to go pretty far out to catch this asteroid. Like, the periaps of this asteroid is something like, I don't know, like 1.8 million kilometers or something like that. Like some insanely high number. Yeah, there's Cardi.
Yeah.
Looking out, we can
not food.
Yeah, food, not food.
Look at little labels.
There's also ones that say like rubbish, trash. I think there's only one that says science, and then on the door it just says to space. So if you notice the map there up in the top right, as we
Yeah,
pass
I'm
parts
watching
of the
it
place,
happen.
Yeah. So I'm gonna eventually launch a proper mapping satellite that will just be in a polar orbit and slowly map the entire planet. I'll also build it better than I built this one. Oh yeah, it also has a big map function that actually anything that's equipped with the map tracker will show up on the big map with its position relative to the planet.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, no,
It's crazy cool.
this is based on the old mod ISA MapSat, which was discontinued. Somebody picked up all the files from it and actually made it a little bit better. There's a whole lot of new mapping elements. So we got an orbit that's close to the asteroid's orbit, and I realized that it's going to take too much delta V to try and just build out the asteroid's orbit. So what we're going to do is something kind of quick and dirty. We're going to try and build it out. And right now, one of the things they added in the new version 23.5 is you can actually, on maneuver nodes, you can actually say, what's going to happen if I do this maneuver in say 6 orbits or 7 orbits? Because it's going to take me a lot more orbits to catch the asteroid than the asteroid is going to spend getting to me. So you notice every time I click that button, it moves my intersect points around. And now I'm just kind of lining up the intersect points so I can eventually catch the asteroid when it comes around in I think it's 3 days or something. Is what it's going to take to actually reach to the point that it's at.
All right.
So yeah, just kind of setting that up, which was kind of a pain. For some reason, the maneuver nodes are glitching out, and it puts too much information overlapping other information. So yeah, 2 days, 5 hours.
You've got a lot of stuff going on.
Or actually 3 days and 2 hours and 22 minutes. We will make that correctional burn to catch the asteroid. Looking at the
Sweet.
big map again. We're actually too far out to do any proper mapping. And yeah, here's us at the bottom of the orbit, 1,700 kilometers out. I found out the map that it stops mapping at about 300 kilometers. And I just thought this was kind of sweet to look at the planet rotating, just passing almost just directly along the Terminator.
Wow. Look at that. Are those lights like cities?
Yeah.
Wow. Somebody's home.
Hello, Carbon.
That's gorgeous.
Sometimes you just gotta appreciate things.
Life.
Life. You gotta appreciate life.
Vast
Space.
depths of space. Yeah.
Time.
Love.
All right, so now we don't have anything to do. We've launched all the rockets we can, so I'm sending the
Later.
yeah. So I'm sending our lander back home finally.
The planet was just like, wait, what's up?
Yeah, I know. And we can actually watch the moon orbiting it. So we're coming in bass backwards because the engine is we're gonna actually catch a little bit of impact heating as we come in, and the engine is the best rated to take it. It can heat up the most without taking any damage. Also, our landing legs are fairly robust. I think they can heat up to about 1200 degrees before they start to get damaged. And so yeah, we start getting our impact heating as we hit about 36 kilometers.
We're not gonna lose these guys. I won't let you. Don't kill them.
And so if you look
Technically, it'll be the massive heating that kills them.
And so you can see our apoapsis is coming down pretty quickly in the flight engineer, because we're coming through the atmosphere at about the lowest we can without destroying anything. You can actually start seeing reentry plasma passing the cockpit.
Matt, you're making me nervous.
But we managed to bring our apoapsis down from like 22,000 kilometers to 4.
Getting nervous, Matt.
And so we're coming out of the thickest part of the atmosphere, and things are cooling off.
So, good.
So now we got to fire retrograde because we didn't quite scrub off enough speed, and we're gonna try and rendezvous this with the Bill Kerman space station because this vehicle has no parachutes or heat shields.
How the hell are we supposed to land it?
It only lands on moons. That's its purpose. It travels from the moon to the space station, and then our space planes are what deliver crew and science back home. And my efforts to save fuel were good, but they weren't that good. I ended up burning most of the fuel coming back anyway.
Whoa.
So we're seeing the Bill Kerman space station approaching again. Now with its docking ports almost completely filled. Making our final approach making our initial approach at a speed of 34 meters per second, not 34 kilometers per second. That would be way too fast. Also, there's a slight hiccup there because at 2.3 kilometers is where the game loads models. Again, I skipped about 13 minutes of myself sucking at docking sequences.
Well, there's only one way to really get it wrong.
Don't worry, Matt. All you need is practice.
Yeah, no, I actually did a lot better on it in a recent one. And so yeah, that is the full extent of the Bill Kerman space station right now. And then we catch up with Asteroid Station, now cutting to about 3 days later to make our correction burn to catch the as of yet still unnamed asteroid circling Kerbal. I don't remember. It has a designation that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Did we rename it? Did you rename it?
Well, let's
Will
just
we
see.
find out? I forget.
So we're 22 kilometers out. And basically approaching the asteroid is AEX 815 is what it was apparently called. So approaching the asteroid is the same as approaching anything you want to dock to, except instead of using a docking port, we have a part that in the game is just called the claw. which is somewhat so. I guess there's some insight. This asteroid redirect pack is actually was actually made by NASA because NASA's planning on doing a asteroid redirect mission in the 2020s. But the thing they're using is going to be way different because something like the Claw won't actually work for a real asteroid for a couple of reasons. We do have some probes that we're going to try and land on asteroids that employ a manner similar to the Claw, and I totally did not just crash into the asteroid there. That didn't happen. Totally did not misjudge the distance and impact it. So we got to slow ourselves down. And you can see how small this asteroid is. It's only
It's very tiny, yeah.
It's as big as the ship.
I also underestimated how bright these spotlights are.
You washed everything out there.
There's such a terrifyingly high albedo on this asteroid. So yeah, there's the Claw, or the
terrifyingly high libido.
yes, it wants to fuck everything. So
You
yeah,
have to remove it. It's a danger to space and everyone around it.
so yeah, the Claw is also called the Advanced Grabbing Unit. NASA, their plan is actually similarly hilariously named. That they're going to launch a satellite that has basically a big bag on it that's made of like stretchy material, and it will inflate and surround the asteroid, and then they will deflate it, and a big net at the front will close it up. And that's all hold it together. And yes, we have now renamed Kerbin's third moon Langston,
Yeah, Langston!
which is a name given to me by Amanda. And when I asked why, she said, "I don't know."
Like, Langston Hughes,
Sure.
the poet. Hold on, let me pull up a Langston Hughes poem
So
to mark the occasion.
we also collect our first sample from the asteroid and add a little bit of science. And let's deploy some solar panels because we're gonna be out here for a while if we're gonna try and redirect this thing.
That's our third moon. It's so small.
Yeah, it's as big as the space station that's holding it. And so we set up a node to try. We're actually going to try and aero brake with the asteroid. Our Kerbonauts have gone around and made sure that it is in fact solid enough to attempt this maneuver. Because one of the things apparently is one of the things. So this game classifies asteroids as like A, B, C, and D status, which is just they rank them based on size. Having done some reading on asteroids myself, I found out that asteroids are actually listed. They're classified based. They're classified based on their makeup, not their size. So there's, so there are C-type asteroids, which are made largely of carbon. There are S-type asteroids, which are silica-based. There are M-type asteroids, which are the least common, but the ones that are of the most interest to commercial industry, which are M is for metallic. They're mostly comprised of metals. And there's also really rare V-type asteroids, which are named for named for the fourth asteroid discovered, which I want to say is called
V-cards.
which I want to say is called Vesta, but I'm probably wrong. One thing I learned also is that, surprise, surprise, this video game isn't perfectly accurate to real life. One thing, in our actual asteroid belt, there are 4 asteroids that actually make up more than half of its mass. One of them, Ceres, was actually originally our 7th planet, and is at this point classified as a dwarf planet. And it is like 1/3 the mass of the 4 heaviest asteroids out there.
Wow.
And in
Why
fact,
don't I know about it?
and in fact,
Ceres is the biggest one in the belt, isn't it?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's Ceres. Yeah, Ceres, and I thought it was the first 4 discovered were the 4 heaviest, but it's actually it's like three of the 4 discovered are the 4 heaviest. And so I managed to send the spaceplane back home. I thought I was recording when I was doing my high altitude maneuvers, and I wasn't, so we missed me doing that, but that's fine. We just get to see nothing because for some reason all of my landings happen at night. You get to see a little bit of impact heating as we do this.
I can see the glow of the cities.
You
Yeah.
need to start putting spotlights on the ships just so we can see them when they're landing.
Yeah, there is a spotlight on the bottom of this because I was doing so many night landings and it was so hard to actually see. It was so hard to. Oh yeah, and you can see Jewel and Drez in the background there. They are the green and purple stars, just to the right of the ship there.
Kinda. I can kinda see him, I guess.
And so we're making a couple more banking maneuvers to reduce our speed. One of the things that the new version of the Ferrum Aerospace added is if you bank too hard, it will rip your ship apart. So I have to keep my banks. I have to keep my G loads under like 5 Gs.
Oh, keep those G loads under control.
I gotta keep them under control. The ladies, they say my G loads are too tight.
Oh, or not tight enough.
Saying they're too heavy, I guess.
I
Is
guess.
this wrong?
We can see we can see also we're coming in. We're really low. Coming in at Mach 2, and you can see
Don't you
the
dare.
Mach cones coming over it. But we're slowing down pretty fast.
Jebediah.
Hmm?
Don't you dare lose Jebediah.
Babe, you know Jebediah is the best in the biz.
He's a hero.
He's a hero.
He is a hero. He has done the most missions of any of our astronauts. So re-engaging the jet engines because I slowed myself down a little bit too much, but I had enough fuel that I was able to actually refuel one of my ships that was on the station, which is good because that ship was almost out of fuel, and I needed to dump that fuel somewhere because otherwise this thing's too heavy to land.
Right into the ocean.
You just jettison into space.
I actually do have a thing that lets me just dump fuel into space, but while I'm docked to the station, I can move my fuel to other vehicles that are also docked to the station.
Yeah, that's probably a better option.
Yeah,
So you're not wasting like the thousands and thousands of dollars that went into that fuel.
yeah. And so we're passing just over the city. We're over the city surrounding the Kerbal Space Center. We're 25 kilometers out from the Space Center right now, descending at a rate of 15 meters per second. We're bringing her in slow. I still have yet to actually attempt to land on a runway because it's probably the easiest if I could line it up right, but the area surrounding the Space Center is also perfectly flat. So we're
Now,
gonna
this
go.
mod that you have to let us see like the cities and stuff, could you also technically crash into a city and like kill a million?
I guess from a role-playing perspective.
Okay.
All right, so 6 kilometers out now. We're finally putting on the landing gear, turning on the spotlight in front to see where the hell we're gonna land. There's the runway, and just saying, forget that biz.
I don't know. I think you could do it.
I probably could. I just don't want to risk it. So
So you just fly past the runway and land on the ground around it.
yeah. And we're slowing down. We're slowing down. We're slowing down, and we make it.
Yeah! Bob's
Nice.
so pumped about it.
Yeah, he's glad to have survived again. And so we return with our 24 science experiments from Minmus,
Wow. You must
which
have gotten so much science.
there's so much science. And that gives us a cool 1,600 science points, which we use to
Wow.
unlock a whole shitload of things now, which I really need.
Wow.
So I get high altitude flight components, which is better, just better wings, stronger wings. Oh yeah, and nuclear propulsion, which gives us nuclear reactors, and also the famous / infamous nuclear engine, which is the most fuel efficient engine that actually uses the bipropellant fuel mixture. High altitude flights also grants us cargo bays, which means that our space planes can actually take stuff into orbit with them.
Oh, that's an important thing. How did you get the space stations up without?
I
I
launched
guess
them. I
they're
launched
just
them off of
rockets
I
themselves?
launched them off of expendable rockets.
Okay.
I did, like I launched a rocket for the asteroid station.
So, Matt, are you doing good?
I have very few people dying.
You're doing great.
Also, I got electronics, which gave me a whole bunch of new science experiments, and also a space telescope, which I'm going to try and launch much later.
Oh, nice.
Sweet. Oh, we should say goodbye to the internet real fast. Next time.
Next
More
time,
space.
Internet. Next time. Also, I finally unlocked fucking ladders so that my dudes can get in and out of vehicles.